If you have been hankering for the days of TIE Fighter and X-Wing, and you were let down with X-Wing versus TIE Fighter like most people because it didn't have a single player until they added in the Balance of Power campaign later on, you might be tempted to check out X-Wing Alliance. This is a game that came out in about 1999. You can get it for pretty cheap. Maybe you got it in the Humble Bundle like I did for very cheap along with Galactic Battlegrounds and Star Wars Rebellion. But how does this game hold up now? It's nice that we can play it very easily. It runs in Steam. You can easily hook up a joystick. Joysticks are pretty cheap. I highly recommend getting them and not messing around with remapping controllers and all that crap. Well, this game offers a few improvements. I wouldn't say improvements from TIE Fighter. I'm not going to really talk about X-Wing versus TIE Fighter because TIE Fighter is the gold standard. It offered a few additions. You start off from a neutral standpoint for a family of traders, and they're deciding from an outsider's perspective whether to lean towards the rebellion or the Empire. This takes place after the first Death Star has been exploded. It takes place after the rebels have evacuated from Hoth, and it leads up to the final battle of Endor and the second Death Star. It does a great job with the plot in the beginning, showing a different perspective, not just the Empire bad, let's do this, showing that people in your family might have differing opinions on who to side with, showing the day-to-day life of traders who scan objects, scan containers, pick up containers, drop them off. Basically, a legal version of what Han Solo was doing. That part I really enjoyed. I enjoyed that they set up these dastardly raiders, these pirates, and that they're using different tactics against each other, like planting spice in their containers so that the Imperials will pick it up. So in that sense, with the missions, they're a little bit more inventive than the usual go here, patrol, kill everybody. You don't actually see your first Imperial ship until 4 missions in, and a very, very difficult mission. But when you finally first see that Star Destroyer enter the area and TIE Fighters enter in, there's a big payoff with that because they delayed that for so long. One of the big problems with the game, however, is it feels like it was a bit rushed, even though it looks fine, and there's actually a great EXE installer. It's on my system. It's called XWAUCPV 1.3.exe. I'll say that again, XWAUCPV 1.3.exe. And that gives you the new texture pack. It makes it look a lot better. It runs it in widescreen. Fixes a lot of problems. It might cause some other problems because I thought I'd recorded a few hours of gameplay and they're all gone. But the game feels a little bit unfinished in a way because there are a few problems. For example, I lined up and did the automated docking procedure and it just pulled my ship right into a wall. It exploded. That was a bit of a problem. I recommend turning on the invulnerable so that you don't have... There are no checkpoints in this game, and you can't save during the middle of a mission. So if you're doing really well in a 25-minute mission and then you accidentally ram into something or something rams into you, that's not really the way you want to die. So I recommend turning on invulnerable. You can still have the challenge of not getting shot out of the sky. It's a very challenging game. Sometimes it's a little more challenging than it needs to be because of poor explanation. There's one mission where one of the objectives was to destroy at least 25% of the Varaxial force. These are the raiders that you're competing with that are a little bit dastardly and might have struck deals with the Empire. Spoiler alert, they did. But I was stuck at 23%. I didn't know what else to destroy. I kept failing the mission, trying to figure it out. Also, that mission has an 8-minute timer before the Imperials come in and cause all kinds of havoc and you need to flee. I had to look up a walkthrough, and I found out that there were these other containers that weren't labeled Varaxio that you needed to destroy. They weren't mentioned in the mission, on the briefing map, or anything. So this is a game I would recommend having a walkthrough handy. Luckily, it's from 1999, so there are lots of easily accessible walkthroughs. It controls very tight. It feels just like an X-Wing TIE Fighter game. I think it runs off of the X-Wing versus TIE Fighter engine, which is probably an improved version of the TIE Fighter engine. If you've never played a TIE Fighter game, one of the most important parts of it are that you're constantly juggling how much energy you're devoting to how fast your lasers are recharging, how fast your shields are recharging, and your engine speed. You can put everything to lasers and shields so that they're constantly charging, but you're going to be going very, very slow. You're not going to be able to catch up to faster and more maneuverable ships. Your turn radius is going to be slower, that kind of thing. You can also, if you have a fully charged thing of lasers, you can just cannibalize it from that and directly dump that into your shields. Or you can flip-flop your shields to all the way to the front, all the way to the back, or you can have them evenly spread out. So there's things like this that can really mean the difference between life and death, because once your shields are gone, it's only a few hits before you're dead. An addition that X-Wing Alliance adds is that when you're flying a Corellian freighter, which is a Millennium Falcon out there, not the Millennium Falcon, but the same type of ship, looks the same, you have an auto turret. So you can, just like from the movies, so you can set that thing to either be on defensive mode or to attack the target you're after. And when you're clearing out, a pack of 6 TIE fighters flying at you, that becomes an integral part of the story and really, really slides in nicely with the energy management. That is the basis of the other games and this game as well. So that part I enjoyed. I enjoyed the different perspective, the picking up the different items. But it really comes down to your patience with it. And sometimes, unless you really, really want to challenge, you're probably going to want to knock it down to easy maybe. Or I suggest giving each mission, once or twice until you stop having fun. 1 or 2 attempts until you stop having fun, and then maybe just throwing on Invulnerable and getting through it so you can see the rest of it. Because as the story unfolds, it is pretty interesting, and you're going to be hopping into, different ships, Z95, Y-Wing, A-Wing, X-Wing, and eventually the Millennium Falcon near the end. So I would say if you can find it for cheap and you have a joystick, it's worth getting into. Just know going in that there are going to be some problems with it. It definitely feels like it didn't get enough love as the watertight TIE fighter. Because I have no problem with sometimes you failing a mission because of some NPCs. Because the strength of these games and the ambition of these games is that they wanted to give you a very large playing field of dozens of ships flying around, capital ships on both sides, mission critical craft that you are going to be escorting, that the enemies are escorting. You've got bombing runs going on. There's so much happening that, of course, you going in there and being the monkey wrench can make this thing really work, or you can screw things up, or who knows, maybe an enemy ship just gets lucky that day and they slip past you, and they just kind of cause a chain reaction of crap that eventually means you've failed the mission, maybe through no fault of your own. Definitely there's going to be times where it is from no fault of your own, but that part I can forgive in order to receive the giant sandbox of the levels, because you can approach these missions in many different ways. Who you're going to target first, how you allocate your wingmen, how fast you want to approach things, do you want to hang back, that sort of thing. The problems that become more unforgivable are when they don't explain the level properly, or sometimes there are going to be moments where you just could not have stopped the mission from failing. But I think it's worth pushing through and getting past that stuff, especially if you've played TIE Fighter, if you've played the Balance of Power campaign from X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, and you're just looking for more of that classic formula. This is it. The story is well done. If you can forgive those bumps, I think it's worth checking out for any TIE Fighter fan if you haven't gone back. You might be thinking, well, of course everybody who likes TIE Fighter has already played it, but hey, I love TIE Fighter. Probably one of my top 3 games of all time, maybe top 5. And I had just played it for the first time this week. So, thanks for checking it out. If there are any other games you would like to see us cover, let us know, please, in the comments below. And bye for now.